How do you actually measure greatness? Is it goals, trophies, or is it doing every bit of it while life deals you the cruelest hand imaginable? Born into poverty, trapped in a body that flat out refused to grow. On paper, Lionel Messi was never meant to become a footballer, let alone the greatest who ever lived. But somehow, a Tronover 20 footballer, let alone the greatest who ever lived. And this isn't just any story. It might just be the greatest story football has ever told. So how on earth did a kid this small end up conquering the entire world? This is the full story of Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi was born on the 24th of June 1987, and humble beginnings is putting it politely. He grew up in the sleepy city of Rosario, where his dad clocked in at a steel factory. By age 4, the ball was already glued to his feet. His old man, Jorge, even started coaching him personally, quietly dreaming this kid might one day be a star. But here's the thing, no amount of coaching beats biology. And for an athlete, your body is the cheat code. And bluntly, Messi was just too small for football. As a kid, he didn't even get picked for playground games till he said forget it, played anyway, and dribbled so ridiculously well, he went straight to first pick. They started calling him La Pulga the Flea, and it wasn't long before he hit a bigger stage, signing up with the youth academy of Newell's Old Boys, the club Marcelo Bielsa once ran, and where a fading Maradona himself once turned out. And Messi's gift was obvious. Instantly, his youth side turned into an absolute wrecking machine, losing exactly one game in 4 years. But a stacked youth team guarantees nothing. Tons of can't-miss kids flame out before they even sniff semi-pro. And, for a brutal stretch, it really looked like Messi was going to be one of those forgotten what-ifs. Why? Because at 9 years old, his body just stopped. He stopped growing. And in youth football, if you're tiny, you might as well hang it up. No club is rolling the dice on a kid who looks half his age. Height has buried countless careers. So when his family took him to the hospital for answers, the kid had tears in his eyes as he asked the doctor one question: will I grow? The diagnosis came back: growth hormone deficiency. His body literally wasn't making the hormones it needed to get bigger. Lucky for him, insurance covered the treatment at first, but only for a little while, because with Argentina's economy in freefall, the insurer was eventually going to pull the plug on those hormone shots. And to make things worse, his dad couldn't cover it himself, not even after burning through the family's entire savings. They begged Newell's for help, but the club was flat broke too. Desperate for anyone to fund the treatment, they took Messi to trial at River Plate, who loved the kid, just not enough to foot the medical bill. And as the months dragged on, hope was running out until one club finally threw him a lifeline. On the 17th of September 2000, a 13-year-old Leo Messi boarded a flight across the Atlantic that would rewrite his entire life. The destination was Barcelona, for a trial with the most famous youth academy on the planet. He still wasn't even 5 feet tall. But the second the ball hit his feet, the youth coaches just stood there, in total disbelief. 2 minutes. That's all it took for the scouts to decide they had to have him. But when it hit the boardroom, some execs balked. Paying for some tiny foreign kid's expensive hormone therapy felt like a huge gamble. But others wanted him so badly, they scribbled a rough contract onto a napkin and had Messi sign it. And just like that, at 13, Leo was officially a La Masia kid and finally got the growth treatment he so desperately needed. And trust me, believe it or not, his story was only just getting warmed up. As a foreigner, though, he wasn't cleared to play official matches, just friendlies and small Catalan competitions. He struggled to fit in and got hit hard with homesickness. He was so painfully shy, his teammates nicknamed him El Mudo, the mute one. But make no mistake, they knew exactly how special he was. When a coach warned, "Don't tackle him too hard, you might break him," a player just shrugged. "Relax, coach, we can't even catch him." After a year at La Masia, the Spanish Federation finally cleared him for everything, and he rolled straight into the second legendary youth team of his life, the so-called Baby Dream team, alongside Cesc Fabregas and Gerard Piqué. That side swept the treble league and both cups with Messi as the top scorer, naturally. All of Europe started paying attention, and his career almost took a wildly different turn, because Arsenal came knocking. They actually landed his buddies Cesc Fabregas, but the Gunners couldn't get a Messi deal over the line, so he stayed put in Catalonia. By 16, he got bumped up to train with the first team during an international break and immediately ran circles around grown men. The senior pros resorted to kicking and hacking him, anything to avoid getting embarrassed by a teenager. One of them flat out called Messi an alien. And even Ronaldinho, the biggest star in the world, said this kid would end up better than him. But back then, Messi was still physically way behind his rivals, so Barca loaded him up with reserve and youth games to let his body catch up and pack on strength until, finally, on February 4th, 2004, he inked his first pro contract, worth around €20,000 a week. Not bad for a broke kid from Argentina, right? Now, this wasn't the all-conquering Barca we picture today. Heading into the 2004-05 season, they hadn't won La Liga or anything major in 6 years. The place was a mess, boardroom chaos, key players walking out the door. It was time for a reset, and Messi made his competitive debut on the 16th of October 2004, coming on for Deco in the 82nd minute, against Espanyol, the third youngest player ever to wear the Barca shirt, and the youngest in nearly a century. He got another cameo off the bench against Osasuna, and a couple months on, made his Champions League debut, playing the full 90 in a group game against Shakhtar Donetsk. He never cracked a La Liga starting 11 that year, but he came off the bench 7 times and even bagged his first ever Barca goal in the dying minute of a 2-0 win over Albacete, making him the club's youngest scorer ever, a record at the time. Barca won La Liga too, handing a 17-year-old his first winner's medal. That summer, he linked up with Argentina's Under-20s for the Under-20 World Cup, and absolutely ran the show, 6 goals and player of the tournament, as Argentina lifted the trophy. He also earned his senior Argentina debut that summer, and oh boy, did that go sideways. He came on in the 64th minute of a friendly against Hungary, and within roughly a minute, got a straight red for swinging an elbow at a defender. Welcome to the wildest roller coaster of his career, because the national team is the saga that nearly broke him over and over before it finally paid off. But hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Back in Spain, now 18, Messi signed a fresh 5-year senior deal because Barca knew they were sitting on a diamond. The 2005-06 season is when Messi really started showing up, but not as the false 9 we know now. Instead, manager Frank Rijkaard stuck him out on the right side of a classic 4-3-3, with Ronaldinho on the left and Samuel Eto'o leading the line. From October on, he was a fixture in the side. In both La Liga and the Champions League, he grabbed his first European goal against Panathinaikos in November, then ripped off 4 goals in 3 league games come January. But his first full campaign got cut short. He tore a muscle in March and missed the run-in, where Barca won La Liga and the Champions League. So he picked up medals in both, still a teenager, mind you. He recovered in time for the 2006 World Cup in Germany, where he netted Argentina's 6th in a 6-0 rout of Serbia and Montenegro, the youngest ever to play and score for Argentina at a World Cup. Then came the gut punch, a quarter-final exit at the hands of Germany. Back at Barca for 06-07, he made his first appearance in a final just the Spanish Super Cup, which Barca won. He then played the full 90 in 8 of the first 9 league games, becoming more vital by the week. Then, November brought another setback, a fractured metatarsal. But when he came back, he did something nobody on earth could ignore. In El Clasico, against Real Madrid, he calmly stroked home an equalizer in the 11th. Madrid edged back ahead then. Messi smashed in another to level it at 28 minutes. Real went 3-2 up, and in the final minute, the kid completed his hat-trick. Real Madrid 3, Lionel Messi 3. He became the first player in 12 years to bag a Clasico hat-trick at 19. On one leg, essentially. By now, the whole planet knew his name. He scored 17 goals across that season, and 16 the next, with jaw-dropping solo runs, like that famous Maradona tribute against Zaragoza a slalom so good that both Ronaldinho and Maradona himself called Messi their heir. But Barca as a whole were sputtering. In 2007-08, they limped to third, 18 points behind Real Madrid, and even 10 behind Villarreal. And despite another stunning Messi goal, they bowed out of the Copa del Rey too. So Rijkaard was gone, and the very next season, Lionel Messi was about to change football itself. Hunting for a new coach, Barca could have hired literally anyone on the planet. Instead, they promoted from within, handing the top job to their 37-year-old B-team coach. That man? None other than Pep Guardiola, who immediately tore the squad down to fit his obsession. Tiki-taka, those quick, suffocating, short passes that strangle teams. He shipped out Deco, and even Ronaldinho, building everything around Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi, whom he handed Ronaldinho's iconic number 10. Pep saw so much in young Leo that a big reason for offloading Ronaldinho was simple. He feared the Brazilian's party lifestyle might rub off on Messi the wrong way. That summer, Leo jetted off to the Beijing Olympics with a loaded Argentina squad. Think Riquelme, Di Maria, and Sergio Aguero, and even there, Messi was the standout. 2 goals, 3 assists, including the dish for Di Maria, to win the gold medal game 1-0 over Nigeria. Afterward, Messi said that gold was a dream, the kind of thing you only get to do once in a lifetime. Little did he know what kind of life was waiting for him. Funny enough, Barca actually lost the very first game of that season to little Numancia, but soon, they hit a different gear, turning into an unstoppable machine that banged in 105 league goals on the way to the title. Messi, Eto'o, and Thierry Henry were terrifying 100 goals between the three of them, in all competitions. Messi himself bagged 38, his first monster haul, proving Pep dead right to bet on him. He mostly stayed on the right, but Pep picked one massive game too. Experiment with him as a false 9. The league trip to Real Madrid. Messi scored twice, set up another, and Barca absolutely battered. Real 6-2 at the Bernabeu. In the Copa del Rey, he tore Atletico apart with a hat-trick, and then played his first big Barca final against Athletic Bilbao, a 4-1 win, with Leo grabbing a goal and an assist. 2 major trophies in the bag, and somehow he already had his eyes on a treble. Because over in the Champions League, the kid was simply on fire. Messi racked up 9 goals, the youngest top scorer in the tournament's history, as Barca reached the final to face Manchester United, led by Cristiano Ronaldo and reigning champions of Europe. But the moment both teams stepped out in Rome, it was men against boys. Barca toyed with United, Eto'o opened the scoring, and Messi sealed it 2-0 with, of all things, a header from the smallest guy out there. Just like that, Barca became the first Spanish club to win the treble, and those wins unlocked the Club World Cup, the Spanish Super Cup, and the UEFA Super Cup, all 3 of which they won, making it an absurd 6 trophies in 2009. And remember, Messi was just 22, yet he was head and shoulders above everyone alive. He scooped the FIFA World Player of the Year and his first Ballon d'Or, kicking off that decade-long Messi-Ronaldo rivalry. But for now, Messi was about to floor it, charging toward what might be the absolute peak of his career. With that 2009 Ballon d'Or, he was already a lock as an all-time great. But over the next 3 years, he'd leap from great to literally in the Pelé and Maradona conversation. Barca opened the 2009-10 season unstoppable yet again, with Messi smashing his 100th club goal against Sevilla in January. That was part of a ridiculous run. 16 goals in 11 straight league games, including back-to-back hat-tricks against Valencia and Zaragoza, one of them an outrageous solo goal. He finished the year with 34 goals in 35 league games to claim his first European Golden Shoe 47 in all competitions. As Barca won La Liga on 99 points, though they fell short in Europe, losing to Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan in the semis. That summer, Messi strode into another World Cup, and this time he knew he was supposed to be the man. Argentina topped their group, then beat Mexico in the round of 16, only to run into Germany again in the quarters. And history just repeated itself. Germany dismantled them and sent Messi packing. Germany had basically become Argentina's boogeyman, and it was only going to get more painful from here. For now, back to 2011, where Barca made a bold call, selling Zlatan Ibrahimovic to Inter, and going all in on Messi as the number 9, though really, it was that false 9 role he basically invented out of thin air. The season opened with a horror tackle against Atletico, and everyone's first fear was a broken ankle, season over. But thankfully, scans showed just ligament damage, so he missed a measly 2 league games. Now operating as a permanent false 9, the goals just wouldn't stop, 14 in 8 games, the only blank coming in El Clasico, which happened to be Mourinho's first Clasico in a Real Madrid dugout. The new chapter of La Liga had truly begun. Even without scoring, Messi grabbed 2 assists, as Barca sent Real home with a 5-0 thrashing. That December, Messi pocketed his second Ballon d'Or, and by season's end, that 5-0 demolition had Barca firmly in the driver's seat for yet another league title. As the calendar flipped, we got peak La Liga 4 Clásicos crammed into 3 weeks, basically deciding everything. Ronaldo and Real grabbed the Copa del Rey, Messi's Barca stormed the league, and in the Champions League semi, it was Leo and the Catalans who came out on top. Messi scored twice in the first leg, including one absolutely filthy solo finish at the Bernabeu, as Barca won 3-1 on aggregate to set up another final with Manchester United. And just like that Argentina-Germany curse, United seemed to have their own hex against this Barca team, because Messi struck in the 54th minute at Wembley to put Barca in control, and they cruised 3-1 to another European crown. Messi scored a frankly insane 53 goals that season, and believe it or not, that number was about to look small. Yeah, somehow it got more absurd. Barca opened the 2011-12 season, looking like they had the difficulty set to easy, beating Real 5-4 in the Super Cup, with Messi scoring or assisting every single goal. By mid-November, he'd already racked up 3 league hat-tricks. In the Champions League round of 16, he put 5 past Bayer Leverkusen, just tucking teams into bed week after week. No shock he lifted his 3rd Ballon d'Or in December 2011. And across that whole 2011-12 campaign, he scored 3+ goals in 12 separate games. 12. Down the home stretch, he went on a 12-game tear where he piled up 31 goal contributions, almost 3 a game, which is just not human. He finished the year with 73 goals in all competitions, 50 in La Liga alone. And yet somehow, despite that alien output, Barca did not win the title. Weren't even close, actually. Ronaldo's Real finished 9 points ahead. And they crashed out of the Champions League to Chelsea in the semis. So all a 73-goal season got him was the Copa del Rey. After it, Pep Guardiola stepped away. And just like that, the first great era of Messi's career closed. The doubts crept in. Was he just a product of Pep's system? Could he stay world-class without Guardiola? Had we just watched peak Messi? Well, as you already know, Leo's story was nowhere near done. As that season wrapped, Messi and his childhood sweetheart, Antonella Roccuzzo, announced they were expecting their first kid. And, like the goal machine he is, he celebrated by stuffing the ball up his shirt after scoring against Ecuador. When little Thiago arrived that November, Newell's old boys weren't about to repeat their famous mistake. Within hours of the birth, they shipped the newborn a club membership. Now, with Pep gone, Barca ran the same play, promoting from within and handing the reins to Pep's assistant, Tito Villanova, as the new head coach. And unsurprisingly, Messi just kept Messiing. In fact, he opened 2012-13 ablaze, closing out the calendar year of 2012 with the all-time record for goals in a single year, 91. To grasp how insane that is, the next best in this century is 69, hit by both Ronaldo and Lewandowski. He beat that by 22. Naturally, Messi grabbed his 4th straight Ballon d'Or in 2012, 4 wins before he even turned 25. On Ballon d'Ors alone, he was officially the greatest ever. But this is right when Cristiano Ronaldo started having a lot to say about that. After Real had nicked the previous title, Barca came roaring back with a record-shattering 100-point season, finishing 15 clear of Madrid. But, down the stretch, injuries hit, and Messi missed the crucial Champions League tie with Bayern Munich, where Barca got obliterated by 7 goals over 2 legs. The vibe around the club was that, unlike Pep's tiki-taka heyday, this had quietly become Messi FC way too dependent on one man to make magic. Still, Villanova had done a remarkable job in the league, even more remarkable because he was battling cancer, with his assistant covering for stretches of the year. That summer, Villanova stepped down and Tata Martino took over, but things were about to get rough for Leo. Across 2013 to 14, he was fighting battles on and off the pitch, hit with tax evasion accusations, and a tax probe hanging over his head. Prison was even floated. On the field, he started fine, but by October he hit a bizarre goal drought, paired with injuries, and didn't score again until February 2014. That December, the Ballon d'Or slipped into Cristiano Ronaldo's hands, ending Messi's historic 4-in-a-row streak right there. Late in the season, Leo roared back, even smashing a Clasico hat-trick in a 4-3 win over Real, shoving them down to third. But Barca didn't fare much better, settling for second, behind Atletico Madrid, who also bounced them from the Champions League quarters, leaving Messi with 0 major trophies. And it was about to go from bad to worse as he headed to Brazil for the World Cup. After a season that, by his standards, flopped, he saw the tournament as his shot to salvage everything. But more than that, it meant the world to a whole nation that loved football more than just about anything, a country starved of a World Cup since the days of Diego Maradona. If Messi truly wanted the GOAT crown, he needed this. He scored 4 in the group stage, squeezed through the round of 16 and the quarters with gritty 1-0 wins, then ran into the Netherlands in the semis. It went to penalties, Messi buried his, and Argentina punched their ticket to the World Cup final. One tiny problem: for the 3rd straight time, waiting for him was Germany, and this time was no kinder. Mario Götze struck in extra time to hand Germany the title and send Messi home with nothing but pain, anger, and regret. Was this really all he could do for Argentina? The little magician was starting to lose hope. Now look, this one took me forever to make. So before we continue, I've got to ask, would you consider subscribing? Only about 5% of you watching actually have, which is wild. So if you could just tap that button, it genuinely means a lot. Alright, after the toughest stretch of his career, Messi came back to a Barca with fresh hope. See, the year before, they'd signed a dazzling young winger named Neymar. And this summer, they added the Premier League's deadliest striker, Luis Suarez. Suddenly, there was a brand new front three in town. With that attacking trident locked in, the 2014-15 season was straight up electric. Messi banged in 5 league hat-tricks, the first against Sevilla, making him La Liga's all-time top scorer, a record that still stands today. He mostly drifted in from the right of the MSN trio, but with Suarez and Neymar also lethal, defenders couldn't just gang up on Leo anymore, and he punished them, scoring for fun. 43 in the league, 58 in all competitions, as Barca won La Liga and the Copa del Rey, where Messi scored that absurd slalom goal in the final against Athletic Bilbao. In Europe, they showed their teeth against Manchester City, winning at the Etihad, then crushing PSG in the quarters, and Bayern Munich in the semis. Messi's double in the first leg, basically settling that one before squaring up to Juventus in the final, which Barca took 3-1 to claim yet another treble. MSN combined for a ludicrous 122 goals that season. Messi grabbed his 5th Ballon d'Or and welcomed his 2nd child. Life was soaring. But the national team was a whole different story, as Argentina flew to Chile that summer for the Copa America. Once again, Captain Messi was electric, winning the Golden Ball as Argentina cruised to the final against the hosts Chile. But Leo couldn't crack the code. The game finished goalless, and it went to penalties. Messi nailed his, but 2 teammates missed, so Chile won the shootout and the trophy. Messi was still chasing that elusive senior international title, and the pressure was mounting. Critics started insisting that without one, he couldn't be the GOAT. The next season, Suarez led the scoring as Messi missed chunks with a knee ligament tear, yet he was just as deadly as a creator, setting up 2 in the Copa del Rey final. Barca looked to be coasting to the league until a loss to Real derailed them, and they dropped 3 straight. But in a must-win at Betis, Messi delivered 2 clutch assists to win it, and Barca snatched the title by a single point. In 2016-17, Messi was right back in the goals, and when Messi scores, he usually scores twice 13 league braces that year alone, enough for the European Golden Boot, with 54 goals across all competitions. Still not enough for the title though, as Barca finished second, settling for the Copa del Rey. The fearsome MSN was actually getting overshadowed by Real's BBC, who just won back-to-back Champions Leagues, plus a league title, and that summer brought yet another Copa America final. Against you guessed it, Chile again. Pure déjà vu. It went to penalties once more, but this time, Messi himself skied his penalty, handing Chile the trophy through his own miss. This was rock bottom, because right after the game, Messi announced his retirement from international football. He'd had enough. He couldn't stomach the pain of losing anymore. Of course, he'd later unretire because Argentina was closer than anyone realized to the greatest era in the country's history. If only Leo had known how gloriously this was all going to end. Messi returned for 2016-17 and signed a new deal. Neymar, meanwhile, decided he wanted out of Messi's shadow and bolted to PSG. The MSN mastermind, Luis Enrique, also walked, and Barca brought in Ernesto Valverde. None of it slowed Messi down. He bagged 45 goals, including 4 in a single match, against Eibar, as Barca strolled to another league title and grabbed the Copa del Rey too. The 2018-19 season was almost a carbon copy, with Barca cruising the league again to hand Messi his 10th La Liga crown and his first as club captain. A lot of people argue this was Messi's 3rd peak, 2012, then 2015, and now 2019, because, as brilliant as he'd been in those old super teams, this side simply wasn't that. He was hauling them on his back, and if not for that gut-wrenching, impossible Liverpool comeback at Anfield, he'd have dragged them to another Champions League final. He was so good that year it landed him another Ballon d'Or 6 now, to Ronaldo's 5. But the 2019-20 season was about to get genuinely brutal for Leo. It was a miserable year. Barca finished second in the league and flat-out humiliated themselves in the Champions League quarters, losing 8-2 to Bayern Munich. Messi only scored 31 that season, which for any normal human would be a career year. For Messi, it was his lowest tally in over a decade, and that summer, Messi went public about a long-running feud with the club president and demanded to leave, even trying to trigger a clause that would let him walk for free. The club refused and lawyered up. So in the end, Messi chose to honor the final year of his deal, and in doing so, broke the club's all-time appearance record. But by now, Barca's finances were in shambles, and Messi's massive wages were a big part of the problem. In 2020-21, Barca limped to 3rd in the league. By this stage, Messi had actually decided to stay at Camp Nou, even agreeing to a 50% pay cut to stay. But his contract had already lapsed, so he was technically a free agent, and Barca's financial chaos meant La Liga's spending rules legally blocked them from offering him a new contract. So, get this purely because of accounting math, Barca's greatest ever player left for free. An entire era of football history just ended. While Leo sorted out his future, Argentina were grinding through the Copa America, hosted by their fiercest rivals, Brazil, and who they met in the final. Di Maria scored the only goal of the game to finally hand Messi his first major senior trophy, with Argentina lifted as captain of his nation, which at last let him silence every doubter who swore it would never happen. That win pretty much sealed his 7th Ballon d'Or, though it sparked debate, with plenty arguing Lewandowski deserved it more. And of course, Messi picked his next home, PSG, reuniting with Neymar and teaming up with a new pal, Kylian Mbappe. This was supposed to be MSN 2.0, only better. But that Copa win had taken a physical toll, and Messi opened his PSG career battling fitness problems, unable to hit the ground running. He featured in just 3 of PSG's first 9 games, and didn't even net his first league goal until November. He'd grabbed a few in the Champions League, sure, but let's be real, Messi was bought to win the Champions League. With an attack of Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, fans literally nicknamed it M&M, everyone expected fireworks. Instead, it was a slog. Messi couldn't string games together thanks to fitness, flu, quarantine, and every other gremlin imaginable. He ended the year with just 11 goals in all competitions, though he did rack up 15 assists, as PSG did their usual thing and won League One without breaking a sweat. The Champions League, though, was a disaster. PSG got knocked out by Real Madrid in the round of 16. By the sky-high standards on Messi's shoulders, year one in Paris was a flop. That summer, Argentina played the Finalissima, the showdown between the champions of Europe and the champions of South America to crown the best on earth. Messi laid on 2 assists as Argentina hammered Italy 3-0, and just like that, the hype for the 2022 World Cup was building fast. Messi kicked off 2-0-2-2 23 inches, far sharper form, racking up 12 goals and 14 assists for a PSG side that, predictably, ran away with the league and sat clear at the top by the time everything paused for the Qatar 2022 World Cup. This was it, realistically, his last great shot to win it all, with Argentina. But this team was different. They were finally winning, with a manager who knew how to set them up, and a mindset that had completely changed. And then bang, Argentina shocked the planet, losing their opener 2-1 to massive underdogs, Saudi Arabia, in one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. Talk about pressure. Lose to Mexico in Game 2, and they were going home. But in the 64th minute, Messi cracked it open, then added an assist as Argentina won 2-0. They saw off Poland to reach the knockouts, and in the round of 16, Messi struck again to beat Australia 2-1, setting up a quarter-final with the Netherlands. And this game, oh man, this was one of the most savage matches in football history. Fouls, scuffles, crunching tackles flying everywhere. The ref handed out a record, 18 yellows and a red. No shock, there was a penalty, which Messi tucked away to put Argentina 2-0 up and seemingly cruising through. But then Wout Weghorst pulled one back, then scored again in the 11th minute of stoppage time to force extra time. It went to penalties. The Dutch missed their first 2, and Messi coolly sent the keeper the wrong way to put Argentina in front. From there, they never looked back, winning the shootout and booking a semi-final with Croatia, where Messi grabbed a goal and an assist in a 3-0 win to set up the World Cup final against France. This honestly felt like the series finale of the Messi story. Could he finally do it? Could he lift the World Cup? And if this was the movie's grand finale, then Kylian Mbappe was absolutely the villain trying to ruin the ending, because what followed was pure cinema. Early on, Messi slotted a penalty to put Argentina ahead. Di Maria doubled it, and it looked done until Mbappe scored twice in 2 minutes, to drag it to extra time, the second time in Messi's career a World Cup final went past 90. Messi struck again in extra time, but a late Mbappe strike leveled it once more, completing his hat-trick. With seconds left, France were clean through and about to win it until the heroics of Emiliano Martinez somehow kept it out. That save meant penalties. And this was the moment everything had built toward. The shootout began. Messi scored. Mbappe scored. Dybala scored. Coman saved by Martinez. Paredes scored. Tchouaméni missed. Then up stepped Gonzalo Montiel and buried it. Argentina and Lionel Messi were champions of the world. After everything, the heartbreaks, the curses, the retirements, he'd finally done it. Lionel Messi had, quite literally, completed football. He's since taken his talents to Inter Miami, where he still plays today, in what's quietly one of the smartest business moves the sport has ever seen, with the right to one day own a piece of his own MLS franchise, just like Beckham did with Inter Miami. He also collected an 8th Ballon d'Or, cementing himself, beyond any real argument, as the greatest footballer to ever live. And honestly, good luck telling me otherwise. 44 major trophies, over 800 goals, more than 350 assists. From a kid who almost never grew, to the king of the whole sport. That's the story of Lionel Messi.